Hello, my name is Daryl Cicero. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Bill Garvey. To explain why he's so important, I'm gonna give a brief background on me. I was a senior in high school in 2009 who was messing up and didn't graduate. My father was upset with me. Looking back now, because I believe he wanted me to join the union, just like him, and I needed my diploma to join the sheet metals union. So he was upset, and he kind of kicked me out the house and told me, you got to figure it out on your own. 4 years after high school, my father passed away in 2013 without ever seeing me graduate or get my GED. Fast forward to 2020, I had enrolled in the EGACE Oak Grove adult program over there on Gerber, and the program was great. The people were great, but it just didn't work out for me and my time schedule and my work time. Fast forward to 2023, I joined the NCCT program, and they had a partnership with SCBC with getting your GED, and my instructor Alan Green introduced me to Mr. Bill, and right off the bat, Mr. Bill had great energy. You know, he was letting me know when he was flexible to come study for the 5 courses of the high set program. Also seen him work with other ex-felons and ex-parolees, and he was very patient with them. You know, told them, if you need a breather, go outside, and when you're ready, come back in, and we'll get to it. So, he did his part, and I met him halfway. And 10 years after my father's passing, I was in my 14-year journey from high school. I was able to receive my high set certificate for high school equivalency. Thank you, Mr. Bill Garvey.
Thanks, Daryl. You probably heard from other teachers, it was a little bit of a long summer at times. We had a lot of work to do with this application process, write an introduction, biography, 6 essays, make a short video, go through the interview panel. And when it was all said and done, my mind went back to the 1980 presidential election. That was the first election I was eligible to vote in, so that dates me a little bit. And Ted Kennedy was briefly challenging President Carter for the Democratic nomination. And I remember he was on the campaign trail for a while, and at one point he said, I'm sick of hearing myself talk. And I thought, wow, that's one of the more honest things a politician's ever said, And I thought at the end of this process, I was a little sick of hearing myself talk. So I really want to say more about the people in my orbit and people who've meant a lot to me. I want to congratulate the teachers that are here, so deserving. And I also want to acknowledge all the teachers that we all know presently and past that have gone on retired and maybe slipped through the cracks and never got an opportunity like this, but they so richly deserved it. Daryl, I want to say to you, just so impressed with your intelligence. And I was kind of, when I started out teaching, there were like these schools of philosophy. Are you going to be a sage on the stage or a guide on the side? And with Daryl, it was easy to be a guide on the side. It felt like I went and got a cup of coffee, came back, and he had passed his 5 subtests. Yeah, so it moved pretty quickly. I want to acknowledge my wife, Bonnie. Just a fantastic person, so supportive for so many years, and as smart as she is, beautiful. She was valedictorian of her high school, and I was kind of the other extreme. I was kind of like a real-life Ferris Bueller, and so maybe it was kind of like a Paul Abdul thing, or opposites attract, Yeah. And yeah, she's really sharp, and when Jeopardy's on, I leave the room because usually I get one question. The ratio is about 1 to 10 correct for her. So, Anyway, just thanks so much. And thanks to my kids. They're not here. They're lined up for the games. Marshall, Nick, Morgan, Kira, I love you. You'll always be my best students. And I want to acknowledge my supervisors, administrators, Natalia Edwards from SCBC, Craig Bradford from the Senior Extension Program. Natalia, you had a meeting with the case managers and transition specialists, and you just asked them a question: why do you do this job? That's when I was first starting. And one of them, I believe it was Pete, said, we're saving lives. And that kind of stuck with me. And I think for what Craig and Natalia are doing, it's not an exaggeration to say that they're saving lives. People with addiction issues, transitional housing, mental health crises. And then Craig built the Senior Extension Program from the ground up, saw a need, kids falling through the cracks, aging out, not graduating in the conventional time frame, and he's given them a window to recover. They do incredible work, both Natalia and Craig. I want to thank the Sacramento County Office of Ed, the board members, Superintendent Gordon. I work for an organization I've never felt lacking. If you need something, you need a purchase order at Home Depot, you want to do a special project in science, whatever, it's there for you. They back you up. And I've always greatly appreciated that. When I look back, it's funny, sometimes I'll think of my cinematic teaching heroes, like Anne Bancroft in The Miracle Worker. I mean, her and Patty Duke in that movie, it's amazing. And Robin Williams, Dead Poets Society. I used to kind of fantasize a little bit that maybe my students will carry me off a soccer field someday, or stand on their desks, in a display of, protest. And that never happened, not in my classroom. But anyway, my real life hero was my teacher, Miss Devlin. It was the 1974-1975 school year. She was my 6th grade teacher. Amazing woman. She was the kind of person that could make you feel, it sounds like a cliche to make you feel like you could be an astronaut, but she would make you feel like you could be another Alan Shepard or a Mae Jameson. She was that kind of person. She was had a little 70s hippie vibe about her, but she's a beautiful, beautiful lady. And unfortunately, she left after 1 year and left a big void in our little Catholic school. And years later, I kind of tracked her, like, where did she go? Not in a stalker way, but just, and I found out she went and taught up in Oregon, and then she was over in Baltimore, and that's where she lives now. But she also taught 10 more years in the Baltimore School District, and then she went on to do healing arts work. She became an acupuncturist and a wellness coach, massage therapist, and I thought that makes sense. She's still healing, still doing good, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think of the troubadours from her generation, the Beatles, and a famous quote from their last album, Paul McCartney, and in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. And there's a lot of people here who get that, and there's a lot of people in this room in other walks of life and other professions who get that, and I thank you very much.